like you say, Miami Flow, the Georgia Tech game is coming up here in Atlanta on Saturday, noon Eastern. And so Georgia Tech was 5-2 when Haynes King went down. He hasn't played the last 2 weeks. I think it's pretty optimistic that he's going to be on the field against Miami. So Georgia Tech, and looking at their schedule, they're in this group of ACC teams, and every conference has this like stack of teams that are just like, everyone in this group can beat everyone else. Yep. Virginia Tech, Duke, Georgia Tech, on and on and on, NC State, etc. They're just kind of like, they're okay. They're the 40th best team in the country, something like that. But of course, if Miami wasn't 9-0, you probably all would be having flashbacks to last year. But
absolutely,
you're probably getting past that since it's easy to do. But your thoughts about Georgia Tech? Miami's an 11.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I think you would agree on is anybody can beat anybody this year. I mean, some of the losses or close games that are happening, you would just never ever see in 100 years. I mean, here and there, but it's every weekend now. Every weekend, you're like, what? Who lost to who? And they won on the last play. You're like, you're really surprised. And I think, look, Georgia Tech is definitely good enough to beat us. I'm a big fan of always talking about which team shows up. If we show up with our A or even B game, I don't think it's much of a game. But I think we show up with our C game, it's a problem. They're very capable of beating us, especially with the type of offense they have. They run a type of offense that not a lot of college football teams run. It's a lot of motion and shifts pre-snap, but after they're done with their motion and shifts, they snap the ball quick. So they don't give you time to look and talk and communicate. And, Haynes King is, we expect him back, also. He's a problem. I mean, he makes some throws. He can move. He's athletic. He's been in that system now, second year. They got some fast guys on the outside. I am not taking him lightly. I do think that it really helps us a lot where our health is from an offensive standpoint, and our defense, I think, matches up well with them this year compared to last year. But you never know. They're 18 to 22-year-old kids, 23-year-olds, some of them, who's going to show up?
McCormick.
Yeah, unless you're Cam McCormick and you're 47. That's pretty funny. There's guys that are older than him. I found out later on when I did some research. I was like, what? Not on our team, but across college football. They're capable of beating us. I actually have respect for Georgia Tech. I think they're building their program the right way. I like their coach a lot. I think he does it the right way. I'm actually going to the game. I'm flying out on Friday. I'm going to the game, and I'm excited for the game. I'm not as concerned as I was against maybe playing a Virginia Tech, who's like a kind of like a half rival to us. But I don't know until we see who shows up, at the end of the day. Like I started off saying, anybody can beat anybody. And that is not saying that as a fan trying to protect our team. It is literally every single weekend you're just scratching your head on some of these games. So why would I think we're not part of that group? We have to. We're getting their best shot. Clearly, we're the what is it, top 5 in the country, top 4 in the country now, whatever they have us ranked. They're gonna come and try to take our head off. We got to show up. We'll see.
Speaking of the rankings, Miami Flow, I don't know that there's a whole lot to chew on here because it's pretty cut and dry. Of course, the ranking, I believe, I'll have to double check, is number 5, and people have to keep it in their brain. This is different than what's happened for the last 10 years because the ranking's not going to necessarily translate right to the seeding because Ohio State's number 2 in the country, but as it stands right now, they wouldn't win the Big Ten. Therefore, they would drop to the 5 seed.
Correct.
And of course, the conference champions get the top 4 seed. So Miami would be the 3 seed. I think they've got a number 5 ranking, maybe a 4 ranking, and they would elevate to number 3. But at least it puts them in a position where if they lose the ACC championship game, they should still be in.
Correct. Yep. No, I'm with you on that. I watched it yesterday. I mean, some of it, of course, we all have our own ideas. I was a head scratcher. I was like, wow. But it's the first year they're doing this. I'm sure there's going to be some tweaks after this. I'm just happy that where we're currently are. I mean, we're in a position where, like you said, if we do drop a game, we drop that ACC championship game, I would be shocked if they wouldn't get us in where they have us currently ranked on the college playoff one. But what was interesting to me was honestly, like a lot of the other teams where they had to rank that, it was crazy to me. I never know. I know what they say their criteria is, but you got to scratch your head a little bit on some of the ones that they had because it didn't make sense. I mean, I think Oregon is clear. I would never argue Oregon. I mean, they beat some good teams. They've had a couple little close games in the beginning of the year, but one of those close games looks pretty good now, which is the Boise State game, right? Because Boise State's rattled off a bunch of victories. We'll see. I think the Big Ten I think it's all going to play out, though, most of it. I really do. I think this week, you got Ole Miss is playing, I think it's Georgia. That's going to shake itself out right there. Boom. That's an easy one. And then you have later on, Indiana's going to play, I think, against you guys, right? A couple weeks. I think.
Ohio State.
Yeah, that'll shake that out right there. That'll make it a little more clear. There'll be, I think, 4 or 5 of those, the teams you see there in the next 2 weeks, it'll be shaking up pretty good.
SMU is the first team out. Do you have any thoughts about SMU? Have you seen them play much? Of course, they beat Louisville. They had a huge win against Pitt. They blew them out. They're undefeated in the conference. And to me, they're a strange case. What I was rooting for, and it's not going to happen now. It could happen in a different way, but not as clean as what I wanted because I'm rooting for chaos, was that Clemson was going to win out, Miami win out, SMU win out. None of them played each other, all undefeated in the conference. Mm-hmm. SMU gets left out. Their losses to BYU by 3 points, who might be undefeated and a conference champion. How do you leave them out of a playoff? But that's not going to happen now. It doesn't appear. And if it does, it's going to be with multiple losses. So SMU seems to be in a decent position, at least to take care of business and control their own destiny. Now, if they lose again, probably not. But they're the first ones out, obviously.
I'm sorry. You have to give Coach Rhett Lashley a lot of credit. And I'll tell you why I say that. Not for the obvious. If I would have told you Preston Stone was probably going to be an NFL guy in a year or two, everyone would have said yes at the beginning of the season because the way the guy looked last year before he got hurt, right? Not only did he start 2 quarterbacks this year, kind of like went back and forth with them a little bit. He made the decision to, flat out bench him. And it looks like it's a genius move because this guy's a problem. This guy Jennings is a problem. He's might not be the passer that Preston is, but he's just, you better keep a spy on him. He's dynamic. The team looks like they just play different around him. It looks like they're an exciting team to watch, to be honest with you. They're fun to watch. I was completely shocked that they put the boom on Pitt the way they did. Like, I thought that was going to be a great game. And I actually thought Pitt could beat him because I thought they would bully him a little bit. Nope. Boomed them. So SMU's for real. If they can keep that quarterback healthy who was banged up a little bit, I actually think he is the key to that team. I really do. They just play different with that guy. But I have to give them respect. I really thought that Pitt would have just bullied them a little bit and would have beat them. And that was 100% not the case. And I think SMU is probably going to win out right now,
And you're one of the best people to go to talk about SMU outside of Texas, at least, because they got so many Miami plays there. And of course, Rashard Smith is tearing it up. But every time I flip on their games, I'm like, oh, yeah, him too.
That's right.
A list of guys.
Yeah, I still talk to a bunch of those guys. They're having a great experience over there. And they're kids. I root for everybody as long as they're doing good, like in their life. I'm happy. I think SMU is going to cause a different type of chaos now, because they should be the favorites for their last 3 games, right? And what if they mess around and beat us and we do what we're supposed to do and we get to the ACC and they mess around and beat us? Now they get the bye. It could be like you said, it could be a different type of chaos now.
Yeah, can you imagine SMU and BYU getting buys?
Oh my gosh. No one would have said that at the beginning of the year. Nobody.
Great stuff. Miami Flows right here on YouTube. Check it out. It's easy to find. And of course, the Twitter/X handle is right there for you. Miami Flow, it's always a great time. Always learn a lot. Great to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully come back on and talk some more football with you guys.